We discussed in yesterday's video both of the games from Oxford and Peterborough and Bolton versus Barnsley for this playoff campaign. But today we're taking a preview into the second legs. We're going to give the rundown on everything that's going on and who I think is in pole position to get to Wembley. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. While you're down there, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Shall we now get into the playoff run and let's talk about it. So we already know the results. We've looked at them yesterday. And for me, I think it's still a 50-50 coin toss of who's going to get to the final. Barnsley do have the possibility of winning that game. It is possible. And obviously Peterborough can beat Oxford. But it is a big coin toss at the moment. I want you to let me know who you think is going to get to the final and even who's going to make it to the championship. Obviously, we're in that situation now where both teams will be feeling the pressure of this playoff campaign, and we know that Peterborough have already been to Wembley this season. Are they going to be able to go again? Because I think that does give them a leg up heading into a potential playoff final. But are they even going to get there? At the moment, they're behind in their tie. And don't get me wrong, I think they had plenty of opportunities in the first leg to get a goal. But unfortunately, they weren't able to take their chances. And Oxford took theirs, and that's the important thing. And I think set pieces are going to be key again in that game. Obviously, Oxford's goal came from a set piece, and then you've got the Barnsley and Bolton game. And I think for Barnsley, they've just got to go all out. They've got to put every man forward. They've got to really try and get an early goal. We saw last season at Peterborough, I think they dropped a 4-0 lead against Sheffield Wednesday. We saw just a few seasons ago, we saw Derby County go away from home and end up 2 goals down after half an hour, and they end up winning that tie. So it's very possible that both of these teams that are behind can come back into the game. But shall we now take a look into each game, and let's take a look at some of the players that played in the first leg. Obviously, there's some big names in both sides. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below or in this top corner. Stay tuned for all my latest football, EFL and Formula 1 content. There is a link to join the channel on a membership basis down in the description. If you want to check that out, make sure you go ahead and do so. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on the playoffs so far, and I'll catch you in the next part of this video. So we went a bit waffle central for the Bolton and Barnsley game. So what we're going to do is we're going to chuck that one after this one. Check this game out first, and then we'll take a look at that one. And I thought this game in the first leg was a very, very tight affair. I thought both teams were really good in between both boxes, but I think they struggled in each other's box. And obviously Oxford's goal coming from a set piece, and I thought it was a really decent sort of routine type thing. Obviously going towards the back post, header it back across, and obviously they had a couple of opportunities like that. Barnsley created a couple of opportunities like that in their game as well. But for me, do I think Oxford are in a pole position for this game? I don't think so. But I also don't think Peterborough are going to be sort of going in thinking, oh, we can do this, we can smash them at home. Although, you look back to the 9th of December and Peterborough won 3-0 at home, and a repeat of that result would put them in the playoff final. Now, I think Oxford are in a position now where they're probably going to look to hold onto what they've got, which I don't think is very surprising because obviously Oxford are a good side. They beat Peterborough 5-0 back in the middle of April. I think it was the 13th of April. It's probably shown on the screen. But for me, do I think Oxford are going to get to the final? I don't. And it's not for the want of trying. I do think that they're going to have a really good game, but I think Peterborough are just going to have too much for them. And obviously, previous games with each other, obviously Oxford do come out on top, but I think Peterborough have just got that little bit extra. Obviously, recent results wise, obviously I think in the playoffs, I don't think form goes out the window, but I think it's sort of, you have certain players that shut themselves down towards the end of a season when they know the playoffs are coming, and then they have to turn it back on. And I think that was the problem for Peterborough. I think that game against Cheltenham Town, where they took everybody out, don't get me wrong, completely understood the decision, but some of those players just weren't quite at the races in the other game, like your likes of Mason Clark, and it's like you've got key players, and for me, you need them match fit. It's like I watched that Cheltenham Peterborough game, and I did just think if that was me as a Derby County fan and Paul Warne had dropped Mendes Lang and James Collins and Ebo Adams and Curtis Nelson and Erin Cashin for a game right before the playoffs, I'd be sort of like, what is going on? Like, at first, I'd think, oh, he's just resting them. But then I'd think, oh, we've lost. What was the point? So we've lost any momentum we had. And I think that is the situation that Peterborough are in. Obviously, they took a 3-3 draw from Bolton the week after, but it didn't help, in my opinion. I don't think the players really looked any more energetic in the Bolton game or in the Oxford game. So it's sort of one of those where Oxford come in off the back of a win and a draw and then get the upper hand in that leg, and they're on the back of 2 wins now, so they go into this next game with huge momentum, like mental momentum, I'd like to call it. Whether that's a thing or not, you'll have to let me know down in the comments. But for me, I think Oxford hold the cards of this game, and if they come out and try and play, I think Peterborough will pick them off, and I think that's something that needs to be thought of for Des Buckingham. And obviously we do look at the Oxford side in just a second, and we'll get up obviously the squad, and I think the key man that they've got at Oxford is Cameron Brannigan. I think he is absolutely pivotal to those getting into the playoff final. I think if he has a good game, is it on Wednesday night, Tuesday or Wednesday night, then I think they get to the playoff final. If he has a good game, I think they're sorted, because he is instrumental in everything that they do at Oxford United, and he's a player that I'd love to have him at Derby County. You look at the dearth of midfield players that we've got. We've got Tyrese Forner, the only contracted central midfielder at Derby County. Like, Cameron Brannigan is a massive upgrade on Forner. Obviously slightly different types, and obviously Brannigan's 5 or 6 years older, but he just offers a lot to the team. Now, I do think he has a long contract, so it's not really something to worry about. But you look at, like, he's been a stalwart for Oxford United since 2018 now. 288 games, 53 goals, and obviously hats full of assists in that time as well. And you can see from the previous game, he picked up an assist in that game and a 7.77 rating, and I thought he was excellent against Peterborough. If we can, let me just see if I can get up his statistics from that game, because I think it would be interesting to look at how important he actually was. So if we do get him up here, look, 90% pass accuracy, 1 chance created, 51 touches, 7 passes into the final third, wasn't dispossessed, didn't attempt to tackle, but he did 8 recoveries. He was only dribbled past twice. He lost 2 duels and won 1. I've run out of words for Cameron Brannigan. I think he's a very, very good player. If we do just compare that to someone in a similar position, you look at Collins, 86% pass accuracy, 11 passes into the final third. He was dispossessed, only 2 recoveries, and won 4 duels, but had much less recoveries. And you then look at Cipriano. Obviously, if we look at Cipriano, obviously, where's his passing accuracy? Hang on, 85% again. Dispossessed once, tackles. He won both his tackles, and he had 7 recoveries. He did that on his own, and he was pretty much on the same stat line of these two. And for me, I thought Brannigan incredible. I think the way he controlled the game and played when Oxford had the ball, I think he was massively impressive in that game. And I think it helped having players like Murphy in the side, and obviously Rodriguez and Goodrum, and I think they've got a lot of quality in that Oxford side, and everything for me rides on what Brannigan can do. If Brannigan can keep hold of possession, then I think they will create loads and loads of chances. You obviously look at the players they bring off the bench in Marcus Brown and Josh McEachran, and you've obviously got Peterborough bringing on Kwame Poku and Ricky J. Jones, and you've also got on that bench for Peterborough, you've also got Johnson Clark Harris, who's an incredible player. And it's one of those where I think both teams have quality. Both teams have quality to come off the bench. It's going to be interesting to see how Des Buckingham plans to handle this Peterborough United side. So obviously we talk about Bolton versus Barnsley. Now I think Ian Evatt and Bolton, I don't think they'll take their foot off the gas, but I do think I think they're pretty much there. I don't want to write Barnsley off, but I think the recent form of Barnsley, we will look at it in just a moment, but the recent form of Barnsley, I can't remember the last time they won a game. I can't remember the last time they scored 2 in a game but didn't concede, and that's something which Barnsley are going to have to look at heading into next season, because as Paul Warne said to Derby back in the summer, 2 points a game gets you up. You can't get 2 points a game when you're not able to score goals. It's that simple. You've got to be able to defend and you've got to be able to score goals. And Barnsley have struggled with that. And I probably mentioned the head-to-head record before, but it really is in Bolton's favour. Like, of the games that are all linked up here, 15 games in total, Barnsley have won 2. And it's hard to see them winning, in my opinion. Obviously, there's still the opportunity to win. They do have a team capable of beating this Bolton side. Obviously, we do go back to that game on the 5th of March, and they drew to a last-minute goal. And if I'm completely honest, I'm fairly sure that was a penalty. If we do left-footed shot, centre of the bottom, it might not have been a penalty. I thought it was a penalty. Was one of the goals a penalty? Hang on. It might not have been a penalty. I thought one of them was a penalty. Whatever. Hey, well, who cares? So we look back to those previous games that they've had this season, and obviously Barnsley have been in terrible form of late. Obviously, they got into the playoffs based on pure luck at the back end of the season. We look, no win. Their last win was Burton Albion on the 1st of April. We're now on the 5th of May as I'm recording this, and they'll be on the 7th of May by the time they play their next game. But you look at this squad, right? Now, I got some problems with Liam Roberts. I said a few weeks ago that I thought he was a really good keeper, and I think he's just had some howlers recently. And obviously, you look at those group of defenders. Now, they had Liam Kitchen at one point. If we do just go through the transfers of players out, you look at what they've lost. They've lost Callum Styles, they've lost Liam Kitchen, they've lost Mads Anderson. Like, they've lost some big players this season, and they never replaced them. Now, don't get me wrong, they've bought in some players. They have, obviously, of course they have, but I think if you look, they've conceded too many goals, and if you do look down at the goalkeepers, we'll get to them in just a moment. Here we are. Look, 10 clean sheets between the both of them. Goals prevented 0.7, saves per 90 3.3, 70% save percentage, which isn't really too bad. Like, 70.2% is actually quite good, but the problem is the 30% that he ain't saving is 53 goals, and it's a big problem for Barnsley. They've had some real issues this season, and I'm not saying it's all on Liam Roberts. Of course it's not, but you look at his performance in the playoffs. He's gave away a penalty, he's conceded 3 goals, and he's just not really been good enough. Obviously, look, he had a period here, 7.8, 7.6, did all right. Then there's 7. He's done all right in this period, but then he just completely drops off the face of the earth. And 5.1 against Pomp. He's had some good performances this season, but I think at 29 years old, I think Barnsley need to look elsewhere. I do believe he is only on loan. If I look on the right-hand side, yes, he is just on loan from Middlesbrough. So will they keep him? Probably not. But for me, disappointing for Barnsley. They need a lot more if they want to go to the playoff final. And if I'm completely honest, I cannot see it. I think it's going to be Bolton in that playoff final. After watching the first leg, I don't think Bolton were very good. I don't think Barnsley were very good. But Bolton were just able to take the opportunities, and that is what matters in the end. It's taking those opportunities, and we'll see what happens in this second leg. I'll make sure that I watch it. I'll give you a review of it before we get to the playoff final, and we'll just see what's going on, because I'm hoping that the second leg, I think Bolton will take much more control, especially being at home. But now we're going to take a look into the second leg of Oxford versus Peterborough. So let's check that one out. So we've previewed the game. I want you to let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you think Peterborough are going to make it to the playoff final, or is it going to be Oxford? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Who is going to make that playoff final? For me, I think it's going to be Bolton, and I want to say Oxford. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to put my cards on the table. I'm going to go Bolton are going to beat Barnsley 1-0 at home, and I think Oxford are going to win. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw, Oxford-Peterborough, in that second leg at Peterborough Stadium. So yeah, you let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hit the subscribe button while you're down there, and I'll catch you in the next video. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football weekend.